Hello and welcome to episode 16 of Noble's Only Trashier podcast. The date today is the 16th of June 2013 and that was a busy week.
I don't know how you managed that.
I don't know how I do it as well. It's definitely a good point. Some sort of Superman of YouTube, that's what I've been described as. But I didn't do a review last week, that's how I did it, so that freed up a lot of time. But
you were fueled by the power of E3.
It's just the passion to get the people content and what our opinions were. That's what it was. Because we had lots of different opinions, like meh, and that game looked okay, I guess.
Leave me alone. I'm average with most games.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I agree. Most of it looked okay at best.
I'm too lazy to get riled up or excited for most things. Most things are just eh.
Well, that's what the internet likes to see. Rage.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You know, you're not going to buy the game, but you're still going to get annoyed at the thought that one day you might and won't enjoy it. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, or like, we hate E3 or EA, and yet we still buy all their games. They want rage, even if it's not proper rage.
Well, that's the problem with gamers, right? They can't get a boycott together, and that's how you know it's not proper rage. Mm-hmm. Like, most people said after SimCity they're going to boycott EA, and, well, first of all, that's silly, because if you want people or EA to stop doing that, then just don't buy the DRM games. You don't have to not buy Battlefield, but also just, I don't think anyone's stuck to it.
No, definitely not. And I don't know. They're always gonna say that. They're always gonna say, "Oh, let's stop buying EA products or Activision or whatever," and it's never gonna work.
See, I actually did say this with Rayman Legends that I was going to boycott it, and I was, and I wasn't going to buy that game or any of Ubisoft's games, but they made amends. They obviously knew they messed up and they put the challenge up, so now I just not as angry anymore. It's still kind of annoying that they delayed Rayman Legends, but I'm not riled up about it still.
Well, good for them. Realise when they've made mistakes.
Well, here's the thing. I think we've probably started a podcast by talking about this before, but gamers' priorities are so wrong. They get annoyed about a lot of stuff, but they take action on the most silly things. Like, Mass Effect 3 was the biggest thing this generation that got action behind it, and gamers actually did something about it and had something happen. If you didn't like the ending, you didn't like the ending. Why is that the thing that people actually got rallied behind and actually made a difference in the gaming community?
So I wonder what they could do with all that passion and energy instead.
Just something better, like
something useful.
Yeah, there was a petition for Time Splitters, I think. Like Crytek said, we don't know about the interest in Time Splitters, so if the fans express their interest, then we'll go forward with something. And there was a petition, but it didn't get anywhere near as many as people needed for Crytek to say, okay, let's make a new Time Splitters.
Yep,
so,
I signed it.
I signed it too.
I signed it, so yeah. Screw other
blame
people.
Us.
No, no comments to us. No way.
Yeah, so instead of Time Splitters Rewind, we could have got a Time Splitters 4, but gamers just like, the game, whatever. So they just don't care. It's weird.
And yet they keep saying we want Time Splitters 4, but they won't do anything when a petition comes up. No,
they won't sign a petition, which is 2 seconds of your life.
That was a bit of a random start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's just something. If we haven't mentioned it, I need to get that out there, because the Mass Effect thing was so weird. They used like charity to get people to get behind it. Like they used
charity.
Yeah, there was this whole thing with Child's Play. I can't remember the details. Where it's like, I can't remember the details, so I shouldn't say it. But there was something to do with charity where they were trying to get it changed. So it was like, well, if you support this, then you're supporting a charity at the same time, and we'll help out this charity, which
did that actually work?
Well, they got it changed.
But did the charity get anything?
I mean, I hope so. I mean,
well, then I don't. Yeah, that's putting a positive spin on it, I guess.
I mean, I suppose I just thought it was kind of a bit. Yeah, if you didn't like the ending, then don't use charity to make people feel like it's a good cause, like it's something worthwhile doing. You know, obviously at the end of the day it doesn't matter, and this is more a principle thing, but yeah, I think by principle it was a bit of a scumbag move.
That's always going to be the way with the internet
Oh yeah.
and gamers.
But this is a horrendously out of date bit of news right here.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3. Ugh.
It's all about Dragon Age. I guess that's what they're making now.
Are they? Oh yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, Dragon Age Inquisition, which we saw at E3. So
Ooh.
let's get into it. I'm just getting up gaming news here because we missed out on the gaming news thing the last couple of weeks, or the last two podcasts. Hold on, it's not going to repeat again, is it? That was embarrassing.
Gaming news.
Nice.
There you go.
That was awesome. So yeah, it's not really gaming news, but I did want to play it because the first thing we're going to tackle, it's post E3 at the moment. There's not much else has happened in the last week, so all we can really talk about is E3. So I think the big question that we need to answer is who won E3? Because I mean, there's the obvious answer right here. There's Sony won E3, but I mean, I can't really argue that much against it, really, right? Like, Sony won hands down.
No, it's complete and utter blowing out of the water, really. And the thing is, even worse, is that Xbox didn't even try to hide, or maybe not hide, that's the wrong word, because that would have been even worse, but make anything look good. It was just one thing after another of bad news from Xbox.
Yeah, it was just everything was bad, because their tactic was, like, okay, we believe in this console, we believe in the Kinect, these restrictions, you know, they must believe they're necessary to stop copyright or things like that, and overall to help out the player, so, but we can't convince anyone of that, because that's what the original conference was meant to be. It was meant to be, here's this new technology, and here's how it makes sense. But obviously that didn't happen, and everyone said that's dumb. So their tactic was, okay, we'll trick people into buying it by showing off all these exclusive games we have. Which just, I mean, I think for some people it probably worked, because Microsoft conference in terms of games was better than Sony's. You know, if you look at the exclusive coming out on Xbox, even if we're not into every single one of them, there's more of them, so there's kind of more variety to it, and I think it's launching with better games. But, you know, it's not enough. It just really, you know, Microsoft knows what we want, and they can't trick us by just putting Killer Instinct out there. No,
and they may be good games to begin with, but you've got to look at the long run of things, and it's not a good future for Xbox One, really.
Yeah, because I think people are, nowadays with the recession and everything, people, if they're going to lay down this money, they have to think, like, okay, is it worth it? Am I going to get the use out of this console? With the Wii U, you didn't have to do that as much because it was kind of cheap, but with the Xbox One being £429,
yeah.
It's still ridiculous after a week. It's still outrageous. You know, you can have many exclusives as you want, but no one's going to buy it.
If they don't have the console to play them on, then what's the point?
Yeah, because I don't think exclusives side or help out that much anyway. I think there are some big ones where it's like, if you're a big Halo fan, you kind of have to buy the new Xbox, but then I don't think there is that large of a community of like hardcore Halo fans who would buy the Xbox One despite it being terrible.
No.
In the same way as in Nintendo with the Wii U is currently relying on their hardcore fans to support the Wii U because nobody else is that convinced by it in the general gaming community. And you can just see how not well it's doing. So I think even though the Halo and Xbox fans are probably, it's a bigger fan base at this point, the hardcore ones, it's not enough to make the Xbox One really compete against the PS4.
No, but there's something I was thinking about the other day, is that all of our reactions to the Xbox One, they're gathered from YouTube, from Reddit, from Twitter, whatever, you know, they're from social sites. But what I reckon, I don't know if this is actually going to be the case, because I was thinking about, like, what is Microsoft's future going to be with this now? Like in terms of, are they going to be in the console market? But I think it's still going to sell well, just because we're only a small demographic of who they're selling to. I mean, think of grandparents or parents who don't really care about video games, don't really care about consoles, they don't know about all this pre-owned and DRM stuff. They just want to go into a shop and get their kid a console for Christmas.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. There's a lot of people who are just not educated or just don't realise that if you buy an Xbox One, it has to be connected to the internet every 24 hours, and you can't lend your games properly, and it's never truly yours. So yeah, so there's definitely going to be these people who are going to go out and buy it still. Like, the Dreamcast bankrupt Sega, but it's still sold. There were still people that brought it. You can still go on eBay and buy one. So, I mean, it's not really an issue of will anyone buy one. It's the question is, will so little people buy them that there won't be a fan base or there won't be any install base? Because the interesting thing is going to be is that will publishers move over to the PS4 if so many people buy that over the Xbox One? And I think once that starts happening, that's when we're going to see some real big problems for Microsoft.
So if you looked into your crystal ball, Tom, which you have right there in front of you, I know.
Well, I have a snowball mic, so does that count, kind of?
That's close enough. What do you see as Microsoft's future from this point in time?
I see their first year is going to do terrible, and then in September they're going to launch Halo 5. They're going to make it so you don't have to have the Kinect. They're not going to take away the restrictions. They're going to keep those, but they're going to take away the Kinect, slash the price to £300 and set it with Halo 5, and then they're back. But they're taking a heavy loss, similar to how the PS3. And then if the generation is long enough and they can keep pumping out the games, they will come back, but ultimately the PS4 is just going to, dominate.
So you still think they're going to be in the market?
Yes, but I think it's going to be a rough launch and it's going to be a rough first year until they can get that killer game out. Because Dead Rising 3 isn't it, Killer Instinct isn't it, Halo 5 is it, but that's a long way off. Because you have to make that decision to buy the more expensive console, so there has to be a reason, and the reason isn't Kinect. No one's thinking that. The reason isn't the TV stuff. The only reason it could be, because it's also not as powerful, is that you're either a massive fanboy, and that's what you're going to get regardless, or there are some great exclusives on the thing. But if the PS4 can get a big enough lead, so like I said, publishers stop making games for that console, similar to how publishers don't make games on the Wii U, or a lot of them have dropped out, like EA, then Microsoft will never be able to catch up without a price cut, and then that's when it's going to get really interesting to see if Microsoft can keep going.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, obviously they're predictions, but isn't it weird how some things can change like that? You just like Microsoft. It was Xbox and PS3, and from this one console where they've made quite a few big mistakes. To be fair, this could be it. I mean, it probably won't, but it could be. That's the thing. You don't know what's going to happen with that. It's really quite scary how much power things like E3 have, and this image that because Microsoft's image at the moment is rock bottom, basically, isn't it? So, what's going to happen with that?
Well, here's the thing. It's just, this is the worst time for Microsoft to make these mistakes, because people are talking about console gaming going away. With PCs being as powerful as they are, you can probably keep up with consoles just fine, without having to build your own computer, spend tons of cash on it, do all that stuff. You can now casually play new games on your PC. And also with iPads and with gaming, all that kind of stuff, and the casual crowd, this was the worst time, the worst generation for them to mess up like this. They gotta keep those hardcore people on their side, and they gotta keep those casual people. Or the casual hardcore, the people that play FIFA and Call of Duty every year and will just go out and buy it. But if Microsoft has lost a big chunk of that crowd, because also we got the stat right here that the PS4 pre-orders against the Xbox Ones in America are 3-2. Now 3-2, that just sounds like, the PS4 is, there've been more pre-orders for that. But what that means is that in America at the moment, if Wikipedia is to be believed, there was 15 million PS3 sold there. These are out of date, but it gives you a good idea. And there was 25 million 360s. So the 360 had a 10 million lead on the PS3. The only reason why the PS3 and 360 have sold the same worldwide is because Japan are a bunch of racists and don't buy American consoles. I mean, I wish that wasn't the truth, but it absolutely is. But, so what that has meant is that all those 360 fans, there are a lot more 360 fans in America, and a large chunk of those have now switched because they've now made the PS4 the console that people are buying and pre-ordering. So that's a really bad sign for Microsoft, right?
And to think that's in America, where the Xbox One is focused on with all of its NFL ties and NBA and all the TV stuff, that's where it's got to work. That's its base. And if it's not working there, it's not going to do any better in Europe or anywhere like that.
Yeah, that's the lead. That's where it should be at least on par. You know, maybe they lost a few fans, but it should at least be on par, but it's just not, you know. And it might be like what Sega did, because it was the SNES and the Mega Drive, but then after the Mega Drive, Sega just kept releasing all these consoles that no one really brought. Now, of course, I don't think Microsoft are going to do that, but we could see that big drop-off where it's just not going to sell. No one's just going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. I can't see anyone buying this bloody thing. And also in America, that's where all the features are, right?
Yeah. That's where it all works.
Yeah, that's where everything comes together, or where it should. You can plug it in, watch a Game of Thrones, watch the Star Trek, jump to the baseball game, you know, soccer game, and then
Price is Right.
Price is Right. Play some Madden afterwards, text your friends, whatever. That's where it all makes sense. But oh God, it's really bad, because there are some people who probably say, well, the console hasn't come out yet, so we can't really say. But there's pre-orders. These we can say, and it's already happening.
Isn't it fun though? Gaming consoles, they could be quite boring if they're too even. At least it's fun now. I think it's quite interesting.
I love a good car crash in gaming.
Yeah.
It's so enjoyable to watch.
Sit back with your popcorn and watch it crash and burn.
It's why so many people were annoyed with the Wii and were annoyed about it, because, you know, to a hardcore fan, that console should have crashed and burned. And it sold 100 million units worldwide.
Oh yeah.
And the 360 and PS3 only sold 70 each. So that's why people get so annoyed about that and how Nintendo's odd tactics kind of work. But I guess we should also mention Nintendo, because, you know, I'm a Nintendo guy, but Sony did win. But the reason why Sony won is because that E3 was Microsoft versus Sony, you know, setting up the launch and setting up the next gen. So that's what that was really about. Nintendo was never in that fight, because Nintendo did set up a good 2013 for themselves, did announce some good games. I was disappointed by how safe they played it, but either way, they did set up a good year for themselves. So they didn't do terribly, it's just they weren't in that fight, which is why you can't really consider them the winner, because it just would be unfair.
Here's a question.
Go on.
When did the Wii U come out?
2012, like November.
November 2012. Is there a reason why they picked it earlier than the other two consoles?
I would assume to try and get a big enough install base to make it legitimate in the year before,
because
in that year.
All I'm thinking is, what if they had waited? What if, just say, if all these consoles had released at the same time? Do you think the Wii U would have got more attention because of Xbox's failings?
I think that's happening anyway.
Is that happening anyway?
Yeah, because I read on Amazon Wii U sales jumped by 200% when the Xbox One was announced. So I think there was a lot of people who... Nintendo expected people to jump on the Wii U because it was the new console, but what happened instead is that everyone just held their money, being like, okay, that's what Nintendo has, let's see what Sony and Microsoft are going to bring to the next generation. So I think now a lot of Microsoft fans who maybe played Mario 64 when they were younger, something like that, had an N64, a GameCube at some point, but didn't like the Wii, those fans are probably now jumping over to the Wii U, being like, okay, Microsoft are terrible, I don't really like Sony or care for those exclusives, I guess I gotta go Wii U. So people are being forced to make that decision because all the cards are now on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess Nintendo are quite happy at the moment watching
I think so.
Microsoft make such mistakes.
Because also, people have said how terribly the Wii U has done in this year because there were no games apart from Lego City Undercover. But now the games are actually coming out. You got Game & Wario. The next month you got Pikmin 3. The next month you got The Wonderful 101. Then you got Super Mario 3D World, The Wind Waker HD, and Donkey Kong Country 2, or Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. So now all these games are coming out. So now that the consoles have been announced and everyone knows what everything is, people can buy the Wii U and will get those games. Because also the online has been all set up and the virtual console has launched. So, the Wii U having that extra year have given Nintendo time to set up its console as being legitimate and being, having great games.
Yeah. There you go. That's a good point.
See, I can justify my Nintendo fanboyism when I have to.
Are you being all hipster now?
Mate,
I bought it before it's cool.
I guess. I mean, yawn. I'm bored with that. I can't wait for the Wii U 3 or whatever. I don't know. Wii 3.
Wii 3.
Oh.
I wish they just drop the Wii name actually next time.
They will
do. Quite nice. Good.
Because they used the Wii name because they thought casual recognition they could get all those casual fans, but instead it just confused all the mothers. And they were like, "What's that Wii U? Is that like a new iPad from Nintendo? Is that like a Mario iPad?" And then they just didn't buy it because it was like £200.
And the Wii Mini. What was all that about? Anyway, yeah, that was a bit random.
Well, I think, so pretty much that's the post-E3 thing. Sony obviously won. Microsoft has set them out to fail. They did a good job trying to claw it back, but nowhere near where they needed to be. And then Nintendo set themselves for a safe, quite solid year.
I mean, you can tell just from this conversation that you don't need to talk about Sony. You don't need to talk about Sony because they did fine. It's how bad Microsoft did. That's why you talk about them. It's just from us talking about it now, and the fact we didn't say really anything about the PS4. It shows that's what people's mindsets are.
It's pretty baffling. Yeah, it really does show how much hate people have for Microsoft because, the question would be, did Sony win on their own merits, or did just Microsoft drown themselves so Sony didn't have to do anything? Because if we look at the Sony conference, what did they really show that was exciting? Like, The Order? Not really. A new Infamous, it looks okay. They didn't really show anything to make me think, I gotta get the PS4. It was just, I want to upgrade to the next gen, and there's no way in hell I'm giving Microsoft any money.
And the price as well. The price, I think that's the one thing they needed to get right, and they did.
Yeah, that was it. You could just cut to the end of that Sony conference.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, it's cheaper. Okay, I'll get that one then.
Yeah.
That's about it, so... But, so I'm quite happy going for a PS4. I don't even know if I'll get a console at launch. Because I was thinking about it. It was like, okay, I can spend $350 or I can spend $400 on a PS4 with a game and whatever, set myself up nice. Or I cannot do any of that and instead just buy the games coming out. I can buy Pokemon X and Y, Wind Waker HD, Batman Arkham Origins, Battlefield 4 on 360, and be just as happy. So
GTA 5?
GTA 5, absolutely. Although that's not coming on new consoles, so I'll be happy playing that anyway. And Rayman Legends is coming out end of August, so I think a lot of people might come to the conclusion I now have, is that why upgrade at launch anyway when there's a ton of games coming out on other consoles? A lot of those third party games that look really good are coming out on the 360 and PS3, so I already have a Wii U, so I can play the Wii U games. So pretty much I'm set until 2014 anyway.
Well, aren't you nice and happy there? And you got it all set out. You're planned.
I know. When it comes to spending £350, I put a little thought behind it.
That's more than most people. So well done.
So I mean, what about you? I mean, are you considering getting the PS4 at launch?
Well, I was thinking because I do have a PS3 at the moment, but it's on its last legs. It's not making good noises, and so I was the other day I was thinking about getting one of those cheap PS3s that came out, the Super Slims, and then I stopped and I thought, well, I haven't really got enough of a game library to warrant that, so maybe I should just wait until the PS4. But now you're saying that, I don't know whether I would get it straight away. It would be nice to kind of get back into games and like have something brand new and something you can kind of go behind and really enjoy. But don't know.
So it would have to be a case of buying the PS4 would have to bring back that spark and excitement of playing games to be worth it.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, if I wanted to play GTA 5, I'd probably just get it for Xbox.
Yeah, so I mean, what games are you looking forward to at the end of the year? And are any of them on PS4 or Xbox One exclusively?
What was that? Below. That was the one I liked from Xbox. So that'll probably be on Xbox 360.
Won't play that.
Was it Below? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Below. Yeah, that was
Probably Batman. Batman did look quite good, but like you say, get that now.
Yeah, you should play Asylum. You got to play Asylum. Man.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those games I like watching other people play, and I try playing myself, and I suck.
You get into it. It's one of those things where the combat seems a bit off at first, but then it really flows well once you get into that, headspace.
I can't remember what games I said last podcast, but there were a couple. But like you say, I don't think they're necessary on the PS4. Yeah,
that's it. If you look at the launch games for the PS4 and the Xbox One, they're not 100% official, but they give you a really good idea. It's like, okay, Assassin's Creed, get that on 360, Watch Dogs 360, Battlefield, Call of Duty, FIFA, and the other sports games. And then you kind of, when you strip down all the exclusives on that console that you can't get elsewhere, you're like, I guess there's Knack on PS4.
Don't even bring that up.
Yeah, and that's like Infamous. The new Killzone looks good. But, I mean, is that enough to get the new console at launch? I mean, I say no.
No.
So yes,
this looks like a bit of a bland shooter to me, but I don't really know much about it.
So all the people who want to go next gen because of how long it's been since the new consoles and a power upgrade, they're all going PS4. But we might see a launch, still a lukewarm launch for both consoles. Or for PS4 at least.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't really know enough about the kind of the smaller aspects, not just the games, but things within the actual console. Like, I know the PS4 has that, and the Xbox One has that whole recording video games things.
Yeah.
I don't know how useful that's going to be. I mean, we both do Let's Plays.
We certainly do.
So that's the first thing I thought of when I heard of that. I was like, that would be very useful. But looking at it, I don't think you can take the footage off.
Well, I hate it. And, it's a bold statement, but the reason why I really dislike it is because, well, first of all, it's going to be restricted in some way. From what I can see, though, they are making it a lot better than, like, say, the Call of Duty TV or in the Call of Duty games and the theatre mode in that.
Yeah.
And you can upload it to YouTube and you can stream. And I really like the streaming idea.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It keeps it simple. You can just do it. You don't have to worry about doing these programs. Programs like XSplit are going to bomb once these things come out. So that's awesome. But my problem with the just sharing thing is that YouTube is already oversaturated with video game footage. It's so oversaturated. You can type in any new game and get tons of different video series covering it, going through as a walkthrough, a let's play, a review, just tons of it. And, me and myself, I've had trouble getting people to watch my videos and discover it. So the idea that these waves of people are just going to be uploading, 80% of them is going to be garbage and just going to be these random clips that no one cares about. The fact that these are going to flood YouTube is just really depressing. And I know it's not of older games, so, I do Nintendo games, so I don't have to worry about people doing, say, like, Super Mario 64 DS, which I did, but it's still like, I don't want, it's already done. You can already do this. So many people already have the correct setup that this isn't a good thing, and I don't think that much good videos are going to come out of it.
Now you've depressed me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It seemed like a cool idea, I admit. At first I was like, that's going to make things easier. Then I was like, that's going to make things easier for every 11-year-old with these consoles.
Oh no.
And they're going to add their voice and just add the worst editing. You can already find those videos with the horrendously bad editing already of Call of Duty, and we're going to see those like times by 10.
Why did I even bring that up for?
I don't know, but yeah, so I really am not looking forward for that feature. And especially it's on Xbox One as well. So when that one guy buys Sunset Overdrive, he can be like, look at this clip. And then no one will watch it because no one likes Xbox One.
Okay, well, the streaming. We'll stick with the streaming. That looked good.
Yeah, the streaming's great because I did stream once, and it went well, but the program XSplit is horrible. Because, I mean, no one really cares, but it uses the audio from your computer. So to get the game audio, it plays the audio out loud through your speakers. But then, if you want to use Skype, you have to level the volumes, and it's a mess. So I like that it's going to become easier because you want it to just be a button to stream to people, you know.
Yeah.
And you don't have to watch every stream, so it's just nice that you can just press it, and then if someone you like is streaming, you can just check it out, and it's easy.
Small tangent.
Okay.
But have you heard of program called OBS, Open Broadcast Software?
No.
It's like a free version of XSplit. It's very good.
Oh, cool.
You should Google search it. It's free and it's good and it's nice.
Well, I have to check it out, but because the streaming is pretty fun. I mean, I liked it. It was quite interactive, even though not many people came out for it. But you know, it's still fun, and I appreciate that aspect of it because I won't see it. You know, like if I have someone added on PS4, then I'll see when they're streaming and I can check it out. And things like that. If I will probably then start going on Ustream and follow the people I want to follow. So I won't see the streams I don't want to see, and it won't oversaturate it, you know, because it's live. Yeah. But with YouTube, I will see all that, and as I'm searching for certain videos of certain games, I'm going to get this wave of just rubbish videos. So that's why, you know, that's the key difference here.
Yeah. I'm just imagining it now, actually. Because you can even put on those kind of skins, don't you? Like put on a little intro and outro that the PlayStation do for you.
Oh.
It's just so... It is like a movie maker.
Great.
Hop on a template thing. Yeah. Looking forward to those.
Yeah, it's going to be a good year for us. See, we're quite lucky because, well, the games you Let's Play are like unique kind of games. No, they're not going to re-release Destroy All Humans, and then everyone's
I wish
going to
they
start
did, but yeah.
I mean, someone brought the thing, so maybe there'll be a new one. But yeah, so, you know, you've got the videos you do are unique, and your Let's Plays, and mine not so much. But I don't think it's going to get interfered with that much. But it's not a positive thing at the end of the day. It's just
no. Well, you completely changed my viewpoint on that. So well done.
It's just what I do.
Yeah,
bring everyone down.
You're a Debbie Downer.
Well, there's no need for that sort of insults. Just trying to have a nice time.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. You're bloody insulting Ian over here. Alright, so let's get to something that... It's not really news, but it's just hilarious that it got said. Microsoft, in the midst of E3, have said that gamers without internet can stick with 360. So it was one of these guys. They didn't come out as a big press conference and say, screw you, you know, no internet people. They just, someone asked one of the top guys, and this is what he said, that, you know, we already have a console you can play offline. It's the 360. And I guess the logic, or the corporate logic behind him saying this, because obviously as a gamer it's like, why would you say that? That's such a terrible thing to say. No one can possibly respond to that in a positive light. But I think the way he had it in his head is that they already announced that they were going to support the 360 through the Xbox One, so in his head it was like, whoa, you can still play your 360 and get tons of new exciting Xbox content like World of Tanks. And I think that's how he justified it, but it just came across as it's just so bad, and I just can't believe he said this, and it's just another nail in Microsoft's coffin for the Xbox One.
He was definitely saying it from a businessman's point of view, not a gamer. It was like dollar signs over the Xbox 360 still. Like, stick with it, keep going, you can go back to that, it's always there still.
Yeah, he's thinking of the person not wanting to upgrade to next gen and get the brand new games and brand new consoles. He's thinking of it as a Microsoft fan wanting to enjoy all the wonderful Microsoft content. So you can still do that on 360, don't worry about it. But the ones with the internet who wants the extra features, there's Xbox One for you. And then the example that was given, he said that someone in a submarine, or someone that lives in a submarine, told him that, I live in a submarine, there's no internet connection there, I want to be able to play games because it's boring in a submarine apparently, what can I do? And he was just like, well, it must suck living in a submarine anyway. and that was his response to it. So I gotta respect him for doing it like that. I am paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said.
It did seem in the video of him saying about sticking with the Xbox 360, it did seem like he didn't know exactly what to say. It seemed like they caught him off guard by saying that almost.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They didn't figure out a corporate response that they could just say.
No. And he seemed to kind of be half like making it up on the top of his head. So maybe he didn't choose the right words. Maybe it was a bit of the spur of the moment thing. But still, it's not a good message to be sending.
Definitely not. I think it still does reflect Microsoft's opinions on all this. It's not just this one guy. Their thoughts on it is that lots of people have the internet and can support this. So if you don't, then you just got to stick with the older technology. But that's not the point. The point is, it's not like a load of hillbillies with no internet connection complaining that they can't play Titanfall. Is Titanfall even on the Xbox One? I think I messed up there. I don't know. I think
go with it.
Sure, it's an example, but if they can't play Dead Rising 3, it's people legitimately are in situations where they're able to play video games, but they can't use an internet connection. You know, a submarine guy is a bit of an obscure example, but you could come up with a ton of obscure examples.
A lot of examples of people out during their army service.
Yeah, Proto Mario
military
was in the army, and he said he didn't have internet a lot of the time, but of course there were times where he could play games, and he liked games, so he could still play his old... I think he said he had a PSP where he had an emulator on it, so he could play all the old Nintendo games. So obviously, with all those sort of people, you can't use an Xbox One. You just can't use it. You're just...
And obviously they're not a huge part of the market, but the point is it's just disrespectful, really.
Yeah, it's just, you're just saying, you know, even though we have internet connections, you're saying to the people who don't, screw you. And as somebody who wants, you know, as someone who would buy a new console, and as a gamer, I don't ever want to imagine that a company is going to put me in that situation where, you know, they say, oh, you don't have this? Then screw you, we're moving on and doing our own thing. It's
scary.
just, you don't want a company to be acting like that, and you don't want to support a company that's acting like that.
No, definitely not.
So yeah, not really news, but kind of embarrassing. Another kind of thing that needs to be talked about because it's just so silly that he would say that. I mean, because I guess you could argue I was kind of going with that opinion. I'm sticking with the 360, but it's my choice. They're not offering the choice, so what are you going to do?
Not buy it.
Absolutely. No way in hell. Right, so let's move away from Xbox One and PS4 kind of stuff a little bit by talking about Ubisoft. Ubisoft has come out and they're saying that they're working on 3 Assassin's Creed games. Of course, one of them will be Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which is coming out this year. But, I mean, the reason I bring this up, because the question is, and it's a big question in gaming at the moment, with the way the industry works, is that how much is too much when it comes to releasing games in a franchise? Of course, nowadays, when you say gaming franchise, I think most people would kind of groan and be like, no, I don't. I want new original games. But they're still good games that Ubisoft are making, and a lot of people liked Assassin's Creed and still do. So it's kind of hard to say if this is really a good thing or a bad thing, because it's more good games, but then can you release too many good games?
Well, people always say, give us new IPs, we're sick of Call of Duty 9 or whatever. But they still sell loads.
They sell so much.
There's no you can't disagree with why they're making them still. If they're going to make money, that's why they're doing it. So, as long as they're still good, I guess. And once they start getting... I don't know, what's your opinion of games like Call of Duty?
I love Call of Duty. I was a bit disappointed by the last one, but... each Call of Duty has provided a new campaign, which, sure, story-wise it's not the most gripping game, but it's kind of fun in the action thriller kind of way. And I like the idea of buying a new one each year, and there were updates to the multiplayer, you know, new weapons, brand new maps, and a lot of new tweaks. You know, each year they did make it better, there were improvements, and with the new story... I like the Call of Duty games, and I'm not really looking forward to Ghost because of how good Battlefield 4 looked, but I will still buy it, and I think they're still great games.
Okay. Well, yeah. As long as the series is doing something, they're progressing and not getting stale. Like you could almost compare it to movies,
Sure.
where I don't know, like take Nightmare on Elm Street for example. That had about 8 sequels, and they each got progressively crapper. And then people just they leave that franchise with a bad taste in their mouth because it ended that way. As long as video game series franchises don't do that, then I think it's fine.
Well, I think, yeah, that's the difference, though. With films, you get the same people behind it, and the talent or the creativity pool runs dry eventually. But with video games, you can really give different studios different, games to work on. Like, that's how the Call of Duty model works, because Treyarch makes one of them and Infinity Ward makes the other. Because really, it seems like the sweet point for franchises is what the Batman Arkham games are doing. You release one every 2 years. So that seems to be the model, and that seems what people like. But for some reason, if you go one a year, even if different people are making it and spend 2 years on the game, that's the line, and that's when people just be like, oh, enough with this.
I suppose the exception is, I still don't understand why people still buy FIFA. It boggles my mind how people can buy. I've got a friend who buys it year after year after year, and they say the same improvements every year: better dribbling, better shooting, more smarter AI. I don't know. That seems to still be going though. There's just always going to be those hardcore fans of. It's always sports as well.
Yeah, sports are weird. They're weirdos.
Yeah, that will just keep going. There'll be FIFA 99, or actually no, they've already done 99. Let's go the other way. 30 something.
Did you mean 2099?
Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, with that, well, that's the thing. I don't think certain people like the idea, or there are a certain group of gamers who are very vocal on the internet who don't like the idea of being a fan of a certain series and getting really invested in it. If they think that there's a slight implication with the way they release their games that maybe the company is trying to make money of it. So when it comes to Call of Duty, they're like, oh, I'm not dull, boo, or whatever. That's fine if you don't really like Call of Duty, but there is a lot of people that are, and that's why they keep going, because a lot of people are really invested in it, and because the games are consistently good. They're not consistently groundbreaking, but they are consistently well made, and they do have original stories in each one and campaigns. So that's why I like them. But there's definitely a certain hipster attitude, whereas like if it's not some sort of weird indie game, or the idea of a franchise is just like, ugh, no way. And I think people are upset because Assassin's Creed used to be an original IP that Ubisoft made, and now it's just become a franchise that they release every year.
Do we know anything about the other 2 games?
No. But
just that they're making them.
My assumption would be one of them is the one afterwards because of the 2-year cycle. They were actually making Assassin's Creed 3 as soon as Assassin's Creed 2 was finished, and then they just, made Revelations and Brotherhood of the ideas they couldn't use in 2 and expanding on certain things for the story. But I would guess one of them is the other one, Assassin's Creed 5. One of them is Black Flag. But then I would assume the other one is probably like a PS Vita game.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because they already made Assassin's Creed 3 and Liberation, so I think they would make another one. Maybe a 3DS game. They did make 2 Assassin's Creed games on the DS. So maybe there's a 3DS one coming. So yeah, I think before people panic and judge it too much, there isn't going to be like 3 a year now. It's just there's going to be 1 a year, and they're on track for making 1 every year.
And if they keep doing what they're doing and change the theme well enough and stick to the theme, I think we brought this up last time. If they stick to the theme and don't just change the skin, then it's all good.
Yeah, and Black Flag looks good. Maybe if this one is bad, then maybe it is time for them to stop or try to do something different with it. But until then, I'm happy to. Well, I mean, I've only played 1, 2, and 3, and 1 had problems, but I liked it. 2, I just didn't like, and 3 I thought was really good, but no one else seemed to like 3.
I got Assassin's Creed 3 the other day.
Oh,
so I might be able to agree with you. We'll see.
I think it's good, but I don't know. I don't know what people's problems with it are, but apparently it's just not quite. I don't know. I liked it. Right, so let's get on to the game that we kind of have to talk about because we missed it at E3 because none of the conferences showed it, and it's a big one for a lot of people. It's The Walking Dead 400 Days. Now, what this is it's a DLC for Season 1, so you have to have Season 1, but it's brand new characters and it's only 1 episode. Now, I'm kind of confused about the whole thing because they're selling it for $5. That's what I saw, so it's a cheap DLC. But apparently there's 5 different characters in the game, so that either means that there is a lot of content for your money, or it's going to be rushed. I mean, it's Telltale with The Walking Dead, so you would assume they know what they're doing, but if they can pull it off and do these 5 different stories, apparently this game is coming out in July, but I can't confirm that. This game, it looks really good.
5 stories in one episode.
Yeah, and it takes place over 400 days in the world.
Those episodes weren't very long. I mean, they were long, but in comparison to the whole game, they weren't very long.
About an hour, maybe 1 to 2 hours, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that, because one of the big things about The Walking Dead Telltale was the emotional investment. You got a good story out of it. If they're going to rush the story, they could take away the main point of this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. With The Walking Dead, it was all about the characters and making the choices because you knew the characters.
Exactly.
Which is why they had to set it all up in episode 1. And you didn't make any choices that affected Clementine in the first part, really. No big choices or anything like that. And then that kind of crept in more because they had to take their time. But with this one, it's just going to be more... they've said this, it's set up for Season 2. And I think it might just feel like more set up for Season 2. But then again, they might just put it off flawlessly. We don't know with Telltale. They made the Jurassic Park game, for God's sake, which looks so horrendously bad. So have you seen any footage of their game that they made?
But it's a new game.
No, it came out the same year The Walking Dead Season 1 did.
Oh, right. No, I didn't see that.
They made a Jurassic Park game, and it was one big QuickTime event, pretty much.
Oh.
And the graphics were terrible, it was stupid, it was just poorly done, and it looked horrendous.
Well, it's a good thing they had The Walking Dead then, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I can't really get that excited for this one, mainly because, The Walking Dead's strength is on its story and its characters, so of course they couldn't show that off or really get into that in the trailers, so when you watch the trailer, you're like, oh cool, it's another one, but you can't really get excited, like, yeah, I can't wait to decide if that zombie girl dies or not, because you don't know the characters or anything yet.
Yeah, and I'll be honest here, I can't get too excited because I won't buy the game. I didn't buy the first game because I watched a Let's Play of it, and that was just as good for me.
Yeah, and I think that's the way I'm going to go. I have episode 1 because it was free on Xbox Live for like a month over Christmas, and I've played through it, but I have no interest in playing the rest because, like you, I just watched videos on the internet of it.
Yeah, I wonder how they thought... I wonder if any of those videos got copyright infringement, because that is like one of the main points. If you watch it on YouTube, there's no point playing the game, really.
Well, that argument only really holds up with a story game, so with The Walking Dead, that's true, but...
Yeah, well, yeah, but other games not, but that game in particular, definitely.
Well, I don't know. I mean, who publishes it? Is it Telltale themselves? Because if it is, then they would have to be the ones to go after people on YouTube, and I don't think they're that sort of company.
It's kind of sad, though, because I would like to show my support to the game by buying it.
Thumbs up them somehow.
But not actually buy it, because I don't need to.
You don't need to give them money, but you wish you could.
I'll give them a pat on the back.
It's kind of like when you torrent an album. Heaven forbid anyone ever does this. When you torrent an album and you really like it, and then you're like, should I actually buy the album? But I already have it, and I don't have that much money, but it's a good album. I do like these guys. It's a similar sort of thing.
You've just set off the alarm bells now. You know the NSA are listening to this Skype call.
I'll be very surprised.
They've just heard you say about torrenting. They're coming to your house right now.
Oh, man. They didn't track it through my internet history or anything like that. They hacked into Skype and just
They are recording Skype calls, though.
Yeah, so am I. I don't know why I'm bothering. Just ask them to send them a copy.
Yeah.
Make my life a lot easier.
Send the tape round, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right then.
Okay, so I don't want this podcast going on forever and ever. I did have a topic for this week, but I don't think it's that relevant, We already covered a topic by going into Xbox One and PS4, and the topic I had was what genres are going to be the dominant genres in the next generation. But I think we'll save that till next week. That's a teaser.
Oh,
that is a teaser. And instead we'll end off on a lighter note. So you were telling me that you brought The Last of Us.
On a lighter note.
It is a lighter note.
Oh,
We
the
were
game
all
is the most depressing thing I've played ever.
Sure. Because yeah, I can't. Was this on the podcast where I said that you should get it? Because
Yeah,
be
because
really
I have a
good?
PS3, and so I should get it.
So
And I
this
thought, hey,
podcast up. This is exciting. This is podcast update, or MrMuckluckable buys The Last of Us update, the first in a trilogy, something like that.
yeah, I got a poster too. They did that thing right at the till where they say for £2 more you can get all this crap. I was like,
I guess.
okay then, fine.
See, I actually this is a tangent, but I haven't had posters in my house for years, so I've decided that I've had enough of that, because I used to have video game ones, but I thought I was a bit too childish to do that when I became a teenager, so I got rid of them all. But now I'm going to get back into posters again. I brought myself a nice big Skyfall poster, and that's looking pretty good.
I want that.
It was only £3 on Amazon. It's a bargain.
Huh. I'll have to look into that.
You should. It's pretty cool. But anyway, so The Last of Us, it's supposed to be one of the best games of the generation. Like, objectively, if you had to name the top 5 games of this generation, you would now have to put it in there alongside games like Bioshock 1, Mass Effect 2, Fallout. So, what do you think of it?
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really know what to think of it right now, because my overwhelming impression of the game is the actual gameplay is pretty boring.
Oh.
I'd say. I mean, it's stealth. Well, you could be stealthy, or you could try and shoot. You will die if you try and shoot them, the mutant infected people. But the shooting's very plain. You can do like a kind of sixth sense listening and like see through walls, which you can do in those other games. I mean, the biggest thing the game's got going for it is the emotional story investment into it, and I can't say I've got that far enough into the game to really have that yet. I don't feel much towards any of the characters at the moment.
Well, yeah, like any story-driven game, you can be like, yeah, this is alright, but then there'll be a moment.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, this is awesome. I'm all in with it now.
It's building up to stuff, definitely. I can tell that.
So pretty much next week when I asked you, when we have the final in the trilogy, the Mr. McLuckable Rises, we will find out if you ever hit that moment. Because I'm guessing that if the gameplay is kind of standard, then really it's only there for a bridge for the story. I mean, right?
Yes. It's weird because I start the game. I will say now that my PS3 is so broke that I can hardly hear the game over the fan, so I kind of have to zone in. But that kind of helps because I have to kind of ignore the noise in the background and zone in on the game. It does, after you play for a while, it does suck you in. It does draw you in, and you do. Like, I was getting quite nervous and all tense at the zombies and looking through the walls and seeing they're right around there, because this is no spoilers, don't worry about spoilers, but there's a particular zombie called a clicker who is just, it's like a bat. It can't see you, but it can hear you. And it's really, if that catches you, you're dead. You're just dead. Oh. So, and that is it's a really scary monster because, there's nothing you can do against it. It's a bit like Amnesia, where you don't have any weapons.
Oh, okay.
And you have to run away. That's what you have to do in this thing. You have to run away. And everyone says Amnesia is like one of the scariest games ever, blah, 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 before it had been put into a YouTube cliche.
Yeah.
And it does have that going for it. It is a scary game, I'd say, The Last of Us. But I haven't got the emotional investment yet with it's very similar to The Walking Dead, like you say, last time, because it has the main character and the little girl as the sidekick.
Well, would you say it's superior because it has, you say the gameplay is a bit boring, but again, it's Naughty Dog. They know how to make a game, so there's nothing wrong with it, right? It's just not that.
No, as it, the game, the level design is all well and good. We're really nice set pieces, very nice cinematics, cutscenes, and the graphics are gorgeous. That's why my PS3 is boiling, because the graphics are really nice. But I haven't got that story bit yet, and I think that's what the game has going for it. So once I get that, then I can really see if it is a 10 out of 10 and an amazing best game of the generation thing.
Well, here's the thing that I've been thinking about, because if they're both doing a similar thing, The Walking Dead Telltale game, and the Last of Us are doing a similar thing with the story, getting invested with the characters in this horrible world where all these creatures are around, I mean, can you give The Last of Us credit for actually having gameplay, or do you give The Walking Dead credit for not having the gameplay and keeping to the story when it knows that's its biggest strength? Because The Last of Us, you know, it sounds like to me that it's, you know, I'm sure the controls are good, right? You know, you get different weapons. You got the clicker thing. That sounds pretty cool. So they did actually put all that stuff into the gameplay. But again, if it's not amazing gameplay to match the amazing story, can you still give them credit for putting all that gameplay in?
I don't know. It's a very slow game. So you certainly have time to work out if you like the gameplay or not.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I haven't played any of the Uncharted games. I haven't played many modern games as it is, to be honest. I'm so far behind. So maybe it's just, it seems bad to me because I'm not used to the genre of that type of third-person action. But it's not action really, but you know what I mean. Maybe I'm not used to that yet. Maybe that's why I'm finding it a little bit dull.
Well, I don't know. That's why I was kind of surprised that you found it dull, because most people would say they're sick of that, the Uncharted gameplay, the Gears of War, because they've played so much of it this generation. But like you said, you haven't played many modern games. So like one of the third-person shooter games you've played this generation was Bloodstone. So it must have been better than that. So really, yes. I would assume that you would appreciate it being tight and, you know, working very well more because you haven't played many games, but obviously it's the other way around.
Well, I don't know, actually. Now you said that, maybe it's one of those things where it's so good you don't even realise it. Maybe it is really good and I'm just taking it for granted and just like running along, shooting zombies and stuff and not realising that it's all working perfectly fine and it's all nice. And I mean, there's not been any glitches, or actually I think there is one glitch to do with saving at the moment.
Yeah, I think they released a patch and fixed that though.
But there's no bugs or anything, and everything there's no weird textures breaking, and it's all working. It's all working perfectly fine. So maybe that is what you should praise it for.
Yeah, maybe you'll enjoy it more going into it now when you compare it to Bloodstone.
Maybe now you've got that in my mind.
Just put a copy of it next to the TV, just looking at you, knowing, or just print out a poster of M from the cutscenes in those games. No. Just put it on the wall behind you.
That is worse than the zombies for Nightmare Fuel.
You would not sleep with that thing. That is so disgusting.
But yeah, it is looking to be a very good game. I don't know if it's 10 out of 10, but it is very good.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. When someone says 10 out of 10 amazing, maybe that's another thing why you find it bland. When someone says this is a brilliant masterpiece of a game, and then they're not doing anything interesting in terms of third-person shooting combat, then can you really say that's a 10 out of 10 game?
There's always that problem when there's hype, isn't there? And there's always things get overhyped, and then you get disappointed. Even if it's really good, you still get disappointed by it. So I don't think maybe that has happened slightly.
I don't know. Maybe I'm sure you. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe when you play it again, I'm sure you'll.
Once I've finished it,
then you can really comment.
Yes, then I can really comment on it. But at the moment, it's looking good, very good, I'll say.
Okay, well that's pretty cool because I want a PS3 for that game, but of course I can't justify buying a PS3 just yet. So maybe when it comes to should I buy a PS4, I'll just buy a PS3 and play The Last of Us, the Uncharted games, Beyond Two Souls, you know, and catch up.
Yeah, do that, because then I can play multiplayer with you and actually use all that stuff they've sold me for £2 at the till. It was like guns and an outfit or something for multiplayer. I don't know.
Just made me all depressed. You've got that one like hat that I can't have. I'm just like, oh.
The character would look good with a hat, actually. Now you said that. I hope it is a hat. Joel.
I don't know what it could be. Probably a jacket. Really.
Yeah.
Or maybe a shave. That would be nice.
Oh, I'll tell you what else it reminds me of the game. It reminds me very much of Half-Life 2.
Oh, that's
particularly the Ravenholm mission. The one that everyone says is so scary because it's the zombies. It is very similar to that.
Wait, is that the one where at the end you have the priest and you go through the graveyard?
There's even the character in the game that's very much like that priest.
See, I didn't get much beyond that because I think Half-Life 2 is a bit overrated. But that's
I didn't finish it, so maybe you're right.
I didn't finish it either. I got bored.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly before we end it off, the problem with Half-Life 2 is that all the levels are twice as long as they should be, which is good because it provides it for a sense of real quest and adventure across a land, but is bad because in each level they just repeat the same stuff and it becomes a bit tedious. Or I found it a bit tedious at the end of certain levels, like the one where you're driving on the hovercraft. And
yes, that's the one I was thinking of.
You do the other physics puzzle, then you have to open up a gate again, and it just keeps going and going, and it gets a bit tiresome.
It is. It's one of those things you think this part of the level should be over by now. Yeah, it's still going.
I think it's kind of a product of the times where they wanted to make that long epic quest, and that was a requirement back then. If you wanted a great game, it had to be like 20 hours long. But nowadays, you can make a great game that is 10 hours long. So I think if they made it now or Half-Life 3, then it would be condensed to really good stuff, and it wouldn't be tedious in places.
Half-Life 3.
One day,
Maybe they're making it so long. That's why it's taking such a long time.
Maybe they're just a bunch of useless idiots who are just messing around with their Steam box to, say what you will about Nintendo. They make their consoles and they make their games. Valve, it's either or, apparently. Ugh.
Well, we'll see.
Enough of Valve. They better announce some good stuff this year. They better.
Oh yeah, they didn't do anything, did they?
No!
They didn't do anything.
Another year. Portal 2. That was the last one.
When did that game come out?
2011.
Oh.
It was amazing. I loved it. It's the best.
Yeah.
They're very talented. Nothing but praise. But I hate them.
Valve are like that lazy genius. You really want them to do something, because when they do it, it's really good, but they just take so long.
Yeah, they'll get to it, but I don't know. I guess we'll get a bit more into that in another podcast, because that's a whole other thing, Valve and the Steam box. So yeah, we're going to end off this one. So this has been the post E3 kind of lazy podcast, because there hasn't been any big breaking news, but hey, we got a lot covered anyway.
Yeah, we managed. We always manage.
Mr. McLuckable to the media, you're wrong about The Last of Us. It's crap. I think that's what to take away from this.
You always do this.
Every podcast. It wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't mention Battlefront 3, which I've just mentioned it, and if I didn't try and turn the internet against you.
Yeah, Our Time is 4 as well.
Well, we already covered that somehow.
Yeah, we did, so we're all good. We're set. We can check the boxes now.
Yeah, we can, end this podcast satisfied that we did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, as always, thanks for joining me, Mr. McLuckable.
Thank you for having me.
And we, of course, will see you next week, so see you then.
Bye-bye.